Welcome to Sqroots Orbital Research Agency. Starting a playthrough of KSP. I've been playing KSP for, man, what feels like 15 years at this point. And I got excited watching the Artemis launch and a couple TV shows I'm watching. For All Mankind on Apple TV. It's a great TV show. Got excited to get back into the game. Because I've been playing KSP for so long, I've got a collection, several mods that I'm using. And I'll cut here in a second to walk through what the mods are. And during this series, I plan on kind of the major mods, taking some time to walk everybody through what each mod is and how to use each mod. Some of them are a bit more complex. I've got kerbalism in here, which I've never played with, so it'll be a learning experience for all of us, I'll say. But most of the mods I have are really just quality of life or graphics mods, and then a couple mods to just add a few parts. I tried to keep the mods that add parts to a minimum to preserve some of that classic KSP feel. But there are some mods that add some things. Kerbalism is one of them. And yeah, we'll get started. I got a lot of things to show you in the mod pack. Kind of explore around a little bit in this episode. Then our first couple launches will occur in this episode. Really just trying to get to orbit in this episode, which is pretty easy to do in a base KSP playthrough. And this one's a bit more challenging, but more or less the same. Science is going to be a problem again because of that kerbalism mod. But I'll walk you guys through it, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I'm putting this rocket together, I wanted to walk through what the kerbalism mod does to science, just real quick. So right now I got 3 science instruments on this craft. It only looks like I've got 2, but I promise I've got 3. So with kerbalism, the main thing it changes for science is it takes time to collect science. So you can see I have the thermometer open here. And then down at the bottom of this menu, I've got the science tab expanded here with a temperature scan. So I'm going to start the temperature scan. I'm also going to start the atmospheric pressure scan. Then the third science I was talking about is up here, actually in the probe core itself. So I have the kind of typical first probe core that you get in KSP, the Probodobodine Stay Putnik. It's got this information up top. The telemetry port is the science that we'll want to start, and then it has this data capacity. Now, this data capacity, as all your science instruments on your craft are collecting science, it will store the science it collects in your probe core, and you have up to, in this case, 1.86 megabytes of science to store. Now, that's pretty decent for kind of your first few crafts. Storage really isn't a concern for these first couple missions because I'm not returning anything, so I don't need to keep any science on the craft. What I'll be doing is using an antenna. I'll choose this guy, the Communicatron, because it sends data back a little bit faster. And I'll get to that in a second. You need this guy to send science back. So as I collect science, this antenna will be connected to the KSC, and I'll be able to send science back. So I won't really saturate this storage. I have no need to keep data on the craft, which is why the minimum capacity here is fine. Now, the reason I chose this Communicatron 16S is if you kind of hover over these guys. So I have remotetech installed, which I should have already walked you through in a future version of me talking. So with remotetech, you have the kind of standard behaviors for that mod. So you have this antenna. All antennas have this range that they have. So the first antennas you get are all omnidirectional. They have a maximum range they can communicate to. So this is 1.5 million meters. That's plenty sufficient for any near or near Kerbin orbits that you'll put yourselves in. And we'll get in probably the next episode or maybe 2 episodes from now, get into setting up your first kind of relay network. The reason I chose this is also related to the realism mod that I'm playing with. And it's this data transmission time over here. So the kind of maximum data you can transmit. So 2.2 kilobytes per second. The smaller one here is about half that at 1.2. So that's why I've chosen the 16S for this mission here. And I'll choose that pretty much for every launch that we use just to get that initial connection back to the KSC. All right, so I wanted to take a second and walk through kind of the first tech tree, or the first contracts that we're looking at here. Again, I've walked you through the mods already. There's a lot of differences here compared to base KSP. And we'll step through these. Every time I go select a contract, I'll make sure we jump back in here and talk through the options that we have and why we're choosing the ones we're choosing. Really, the only option I have here at the beginning is just to do some science. So we're going to take that contract. Can't orbit yet. Don't have any of the rocket parts yet. I can't do suborbital either because, I only have solid rocket motors, so I can't make it to suborbital trajectory. Again, remotetech, which is what I plan on doing next episode. That's setting up the satellite networks, and we'll walk through that next episode in some detail. I've got a rover mission, which I don't have rover parts and have nowhere to take a rover other than just launching it at Kerbin, which is what I'll do. And then unmanned missions, so kind of duplicative, get a probe into orbit, and then this one also has get a probe into orbit and return it home safely. So the only contract I can do realistically is the science contract. So it's the one we have accepted. And then if we jump into the R&D facility, I'll walk you through the community tech tree that I have so far and what we got. So we have the starting parts, which is a little bit of nothing. One of my pretty much the only mod I added that adds additional items in the VAB. I added it specifically to get some miniature probe cores because I like the kind of micro and mini sats that it adds. But it also adds some of these engines, which again I can't use because I have no liquid fuel tanks, so we're stuck with the solid rocket motors. Solid rocket motor I'm using right here is the B booster, which is pretty equivalent to the regular KSP Might solid fuel booster. Yeah, just small solid rocket motor. Couple science parts in here. So on my craft I have the press mat barometer, where is it here? The temperature science, somewhere on here. One of the remotetech antennas, and then just a pretty basic probe core. Yeah, our target is basic rocketry, so I can get some liquid fuel components. And basic vehicles adds those CubeSats, mini sats that I was talking about, so different kind of probe cores we can use. Adds a better solar panel in here as well. Batteries is really what we're after here. But to do any of that, we need science. To get science, we need to spend some time just sitting on the launch pad in the KSC and collecting some science. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Alrighty, got our first little rocket on the launch pad. So I'll walk you through what I showed you in the VAB. So the reason I set all these guys up to collect science in the VAB is so they started running every time they have an opportunity to run. So in this case, I've got 2.7 science I can get from this. Since I'm using kerbalism, it takes 15 minutes to collect it all. So we'll be sitting here for a while. Same can be said for all the other science parts. The reason I've got the antenna over here is for connection back to the KSC to transmit that science. You can see I've got connection up here in the top left. The main thing to keep your eye on in this mod is if you jump into your probe core and click on this data button, pulls up this file manager. So it shows you all the science you have, what's being transmitted, what's not being transmitted, what's being collected, that type of thing. This in conjunction with, let me get some of this out the way, this little kind of heartbeat monitor thing with the sensor thing, second from the top. click on that guy, click on your craft, and then click auto up here. It also shows there's more detail what your science you have on your craft. So you can see what's running, what's waiting. So in this case, it's already been collected. So it's waiting to be transmitted, waiting to run again. Yeah, we're gonna sit here, collect all the science, and send it back to the KSC. So you can see in the top right, I've collected all my science now from the launch pad, just waiting to send it all back. It takes some time. The better antennas you have, the faster it sends science. Again, it's pretty basic stuff here at the beginning. So lots of simulating to collect science so that we can get some liquid fuel tanks. Alrighty. So all the science has been sent back from the launch pad. I guess in old KSP fashion, the next thing to do is launch your rocket. So let's see what happens. And again, since these are in waiting mode, the second I launched, I'm in flight, so it's collecting data for flying over the low shores, which is where we are. And I won't be able to send all this back before I come crashing back down to Kerbin, but I'll be able to send some back, and you can collect partial science with this mod, which is pretty nice. So it'll take a couple launches to get all the science collected and sent back. So I was a bit confused when I started the kerbalism mod, trying to understand how the science worked. So you can see that I am out of storage now in my probe core, which doesn't really matter, because I'm not going to be able to send everything anyway, and I'm not saving this probe. But you can see this no storage space for the pressure scan. That just means you're out of storage space on your rocket. So when you look at the data, which is this kind of block up here, you'll see I've got 0% available, which normally is not a good thing. Again, I'm not bringing this back, so I don't really care. I'm just transmitting as much science as I possibly can. So temperature scan is still running, and it's actively setting that back, which is why it's able to still run. My antenna is not strong enough to send temperature scan data back and pressure scan data back at the same time. So I don't know how it chooses which one it runs, but it's running temperature scan right now and sending that back. As we'll see in a bit, all this data that we have collected that we haven't sent back, we don't get to keep if you don't keep your probe, which is a bummer, but again, it's the very beginning, so it's what we live with. Alrighty. Good old-fashioned game of lawn darts we're playing there. So if we can recover, or we can revert, I guess, back to Space Center. And we'll see how much science we got. 20 science, that's actually quite a bit. So we can get both of the tech trees that I wanted. So the basic rocketry gives me liquid fuel. That's enough to get me into orbit. And then basic vehicles, which gives me batteries so that I can actually transmit all the science I get in orbit. So the next rocket we're going to build, walked through the contracts earlier. There's another one that popped up, this investigate the island airfield. We may do that at some point. Honestly, those aren't my favorite missions to do, so may happen, may not happen. Who knows? But the main thing we want to do here is orbit Kerbin. So to do that first, we'll take the suborbital trajectory, and we'll take the orbit here as well. We can do both with the same launch. I can only accept 2 contracts max. Right now I need to upgrade my mission control to accept more contracts. And again, that does cost quite a bit of money. In this case, 75k, which I do have. We'll take it. And we got 54k. Money is not really concerning KSP except for the very beginning of KSP. You get a lot of money for these contracts, so we won't really be concerned about running out of money. Our biggest concern is running out of science. So we can go back to mission control and take the other contracts that were related to orbiting. We'll take this guy, and we'll try and return this home safely. We'll see what we can do. Oh, never mind. So 7 contracts total that I can accept, but only 3 of those can be exceptional contracts. Already got 3 of those. Cannot take a 4th, even though I can have a maximum of 7 contracts. Only 3 can be the 3-star contracts, so Guess we don't need to plan on bringing this back home. Alright, so as we're walking through this kind of speed run of the video, me building the rocket here, I want to take a second to say that you're not going to see the mods this episode. I'm going to release a episode 1 and then go back in time and release an episode 0 that walks through the mods. I was editing this video and we got to 25-30 minutes. Figured that was plenty sufficient time for my first video here. So I'm going to release this video and then shortly after a separate video that just walks us through the mods and what mods I have in this playthrough. Alrighty. We got our first orbital rocket here. It's really basic. Get rid of this. It's got some science on it, which we'll turn all these guys on. Let's do a bit more data capacity here. It just increases the price and the weight a little bit. I got some antennas, some solar panels, some batteries, and a rocket engine. So, pretty basic. Not that pretty. I got this fairing that goes over it. And then the maximum amount of parts I'm allowed with the current configuration of the vehicle assembly building that I have. So, first configuration without upgrading is 30 parts, maximum 18 tons, and some height, width, length requirements that I'm not close to. Really want to upgrade that as soon as we can because 30 parts is not a lot. This craft right here is 30 parts. It doesn't do much. So we're looking to upgrade that as soon as we can. And we'll go ahead and launch this guy, collect as much science as we can, because again, science is the name of the game. And I'll talk to you guys here in a second. Alright, so while waiting on our radiation scan to run, which is a new science piece we got, we'll walk through MechJeb's Descent Guidance. It's pretty common mod, so I'm sure most of y'all have seen it or heard of it before. I cannot circularize an orbit yet because I don't have a tracking station upgraded, so again, something else we have to upgrade, but it can insert us into an orbit where we can then circularize. So wait for that to finish collecting. Us 7 minutes left. We'll speed up time a little bit. But all we gotta do is engage autopilot. It does its math. I don't know. And it says we're good to go. Trying to target like 150 kilometers here for orbit. And so once this finishes, we'll go ahead and launch this guy and let MechJeb do his job and get us into an orbit insertion, and then I'll finish the circularization for now. Let me go ahead and disengage the autopilot here. As you see, we're tumbling, but we should be able to correct that. Yeah, first launch, things like this are going to happen. Let's go ahead and expose this here so we can start getting some out of storage space. Attempt to get some pressure scan data. And this little CubeSat I got up front, which is from a mod that I added, does have little reaction wheels in it, so it can do just enough to kind of point this guy in the right direction. What we will do before we circularize is extend this better antenna. So this is a remotetech mod edition. Activate this guy, extends way out. So now this is connected. You can see the little green light there, and I can deactivate this one. Saves me some electric charge and allows me to transmit data a bit faster. So you can see we're out of storage space. We can pop this guy open and see what we got. You can play around with these. If you click this button, the blue arrows here won't transmit that science. So I typically like to not transmit science I'm actively collecting and try and clear out the backlog of science I've already collected. You don't have to do that. Either way, you're sending science back. It's personal preference, I guess. So yeah, we'll circularize this orbit. Talk through some of the science that we're getting when we get to orbit. Alright, so future Sqroot here. The next couple minutes just gonna be me fast forwarding through my orbit here. I did want to talk about a couple things here. So you can see me walking through my science like I was on the launch pad and like I was kind of during the launch. Just managing the sciences I created. I've got no capacity available right now. So just trying to get all the science sent back to Kerbin that I can. Like I mentioned a couple times in the video, science is by far the most important thing here, especially I'll talk about here later in the video. For kind of the plans that I want to, or at least the plan that I want to walk through the tech tree with. It involves getting better rocketry parts so I can put things in bigger satellites in orbit, stuff like that. So you'll see me warping, going to map view and warping a couple times here. I warp around until I get connection back to the KSC. The entire time I'm at the KSC, I warp a little bit slower so that the simulation works and you can send data back. I've noticed that if you warp pretty fast by the KSC, you may get connection, but it doesn't necessarily register for the science and sending the science back, which is a bit of a bummer, but you gotta actively manage the warp. That way you can actually send your science back. So you'll see me going a little bit slower the second I get to the KSC and establish connection again with the KSC. Now, I'm trying to be a good steward of space in this video, so I'm gonna deorbit every chance I can for the rockets that I don't need. So you see me deorbiting here, and I'll cut to current Sqroot here soon. Great time to talk about volumetric clouds. So gave in and bought it. It's only $6 a month, and you really only need to subscribe for 1 month. Once you download it, you have it, so you can pull your subscription after you're done downloading it, and then only really pay $6 for it, $7 for it, and it makes these clouds just look gorgeous on pretty much every planet. Adds weather, so at some point you'll probably see me flying through a thunderstorm. It's kind of terrifying, but it does just make the experience a bit better, but more interesting to look at, kind of make it feel more real than just a video game. As we re-enter, you can see the Firefly mod adds the whole plasma shield and kind of little bits and pieces flying off your rocket. This probably shouldn't survive re-entry. If it does, it's probably just because we're playing KSP. I think it might, actually, but we don't have a parachute on this thing, so we can't land it. Still be playing a expensive game of lawn darts with this probe. Another cool thing is while you're re-entering, I wouldn't have connection either way, but while you're re-entering, this plasma shield kind of blocks out any connection like it would in real life, which is pretty cool. So you don't really have any control over your rocket while it's re-entering. Just another kind of realistic factor that I like to add to the game. It makes it a bit more challenging than just base KSP, but still keeps the game a game. Keeps regular KSP as kind of the root for all the stuff that we're doing here. So it doesn't add a ton of parts, doesn't add really complicated mechanics to the game. just makes it a bit prettier. Go ahead and watch this guy smack into the ground. There's scares me every time. Some sonic booms that are added. If you like SpaceX and want to land your boosters back down, I'm sure it'd be pretty cool to land them with the sonic booms. Yeah, so fly this guy to the ground, collect up our science, see what we got. Then probably call it good for this episode. I'm not sure how long it is. I haven't done any editing yet. I'm sure it's a pretty lengthy one if we walk through the mods. So I appreciate your time. Please join me next time when I release my next video, which will be soon, I promise, sometime in the next week. Go ahead and collect this guy up. Check out our science, see what we can get. So we have 54 total science now. I forget what we started with. I think it was like less than 1. So taking a look through our tech tree, we have general rocketry, which just gives me more options for engines and fuel tanks. I don't know if that's super important right now since we can get to orbit for what we need to. We got basic construction with added struts and the girders. Again, would be nice to have for these larger rockets, but I'm not really building those right now. You know, flight control should be very valuable. Add some monopropellant tanks, which we'll want to use. Adds these gyroscopes, which is nice. Scriptable control system. This is for KOS, just lets you kind of program your launches, which is pretty nice. But really the one we're looking at here is man technology, and it doesn't add anything interesting. We're not sending Kerbals to the moon yet. But the reason we like that is because we can unlock survivability after, which gives me heat shields, lets me re-enter safely, and gives me more science parts after that. So we're going to go after man technology, probably save the rest of our research for basic science, because again, need as much science as we can get as soon as we can get it. This tech tree is enormous. Some of these science, 2,250 science for this guy. So we want as much science as we can get as fast as we can get it. We've got the rocket parts we need to start putting probes into orbit, collecting that science, doing some of our missions. Then we want the survivability so we can start re-entering from moon flybys, Minimus flybys, maybe Duna flybys at some point here soon. That's why we're looking at this tech tree as well. Like I said, appreciate everybody watching, the 10 of you. I'll keep making videos because I enjoy them. Don't expect anybody else to enjoy them, but if you do, you know what you gotta do. I'm not gonna say it, but there's some buttons you can click to support the channel. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. Again, I'm more than happy to change how we make these videos, what we put in them, the types of missions you see. I want your feedback so I understand kind of what tech I should be progressing through, whether it's planes, rockets, where we want to go when we start looking at debating on flying by Duna or landing on the moon. You know, what mission you want to see next. So feel free to leave comments. Let me know what you think.